new week, the last one in the month of June, and it's 10 a.m. in Lagos, Nigeria. Time for Business Morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the program. I'm Ini John Mekwa.
And I'm Ladi Williams. So great to have you. Let's look at what's happening. Kogi State Coordination Office of the Agro-Processing Productivity Enhancement and Livelihood Improvement Support Project has assured rice farmers of its support to boost rice production in the state. The state project coordinator, Dr. Abdullahi Ozamata, gave the assurance while addressing farmers at a field day aimed at raising awareness on the adoption and use of improved seedlings. Do take a listen.
A demonstration of rice tilling machine in Uzbek community in Kogi State, signifying an innovation in harvesting of rice. Farmers, government functionaries of the Ministry of Agriculture, as well as other dignitaries, take a tour of the rice farm to witness the introduction, which they believe will boost production. The State Coordinator of Appeals in Kogi State, Dr. Abdullahi Ozomata, says the intention is to attract the farmers with the benefits of the new technology.
The difference between what they used to get with their formal practice and if they adopt this new practice, we are going to come up with the difference today, and for them to either say they are for the technology or they are not for the technology.
The importance of the innovative rice seedling and how they can withstand various weather was done by the head of research program, NCRI, Dr. Bashir Mohammed.
Once water received after 2 weeks, rice come up again.
The process has the support of the state government, as reiterated by a representative of the Deputy Governor, Mr. Sunday Faliki.
The farmers, many of them are women. Our resource person has said it. Even in their program, they've decided to follow the UN-approved method of 35%, which His Excellency Alhaji Yahaya Bello has demonstrated in political scene and has done more than UN recommendation. This technology system is what will make our people from Ozube and other people to do more and make more money because the market has been open for you.
Farmers in Uzbek community are optimistic that it's a new dawn where there will be less work and more harvest.
Well, moving on from agriculture to meter asset providers are asking for an upgrade review of prepaid electricity meters to enable them continue to carry on with their mandate of providing device to electricity users. MAPs have hinged their call for the increase on the rise in various indices around meter manufacturing, including inflation, foreign exchange, and other factors, saying that there was urgent need for all stakeholders in the electricity value chain to meet and address the issues at stake. Well, we have a meter manufacturer who also doubles as a meter asset provider, Engineer Ademola Aguro. He's also the managing director of Prodigy Global Services Limited, to tell us how they came about this asking for a review and other matters surrounding it. Good morning, Engineer. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Great to have you.
Thank you.
So, even before we go to your request, MAPs became effective in 2018. And actual work did not start until about a year later.
Yes.
How much work have you done since then? I know we have a metering gap of how many millions? About 5 million or more. How much of that have you met?
Based on the statistics, we actually have, NEC is saying we have a metering gap of about 6 million. But when you look at, because of new connections, and it's actually about 10 million, well over 10 million.
That's what you have found out as MAPs?
Yes.
Okay.
Wow.
So
That's a big number.
It's a big number. And, you know, the meter asset provider regulation, I think we couldn't do much then as a MAP because of some of these various issues that has been raised in terms of the forest and in terms of the prices of items getting up. But after that, the presidency came up with the issue of the waiver for the issue of the import duty. Then the issue of the NMNP was introduced through the office of the vice president, so which CBN was able to come up with a lot of support for the National Mass Metering Rollout Program.
Is that the one that the CBN said they are going to give a sponsor about 1 million meters? Is that
No,
the
it's
one you're
actually
referring
more
to?
than 1 million meter for the phase 0.
Yeah, the
The
phase
CBN
1.
was phase 0. CBN supposed to mop up all the meters that are in-house.
Okay.
You know, when the Nigeria Electricity Regulation Commission approached all the meter manufacturers and the MAP, they are able to get a data of about 1 million meter that is in-house. That's what CBN said, okay, we are going to provide about $100 million for that. So that is going to, they are going to mop up all the meter that is in-house in Nigeria, the one that are on import, which CBN has graciously done. We are actually supposed to move into the next phase, which is the phase 1. Under phase 1, CBN is supposed to provide about $105 million for local manufacturers. The phase 1 is focused basically on the local manufacturer. This is with the intention of increasing the GDP, provide jobs for Nigerians, and to be able to do.
Well, if the CBN is doing this, then why is MAPS asking for review?
Actually, MAP is not asking for review. The review that is being talked about is talked about on the basis of phase 0. When the experience that the local manufacturers, the MAP, added phase 0, you know, they have to go and source for their forests by themselves. Because of that, forests keep on increasing. And when you look at the component of meter, there is every part that we are using today is being imported. Because of that, that's why those CBN actually promise under the next phase that we are going to, that they are going to provide the forest. They promise that they are going to provide sub-loan at 9% or lower for the local manufacturer.
Okay.
So the reason why MAP are worried, like I informed you earlier, you know, in the first, the 0 phase, the MAPs and the manufacturer promise that they have about 1 million meter on ground. But some of the local manufacturer, because when you know manufacturing, you can metering is quite a lot. It involves a lot of things. But when you import, and because of the COVID, some of the people that import some of this material did not come on time, and because of that, the cost became high. And CBN did not provide any support, which they have said on the phase 0.
Okay.
Because banks have already said that they have this meter on ground.
All right, so, you know, still looking at the prices, you know, subsidy prices of prepaid meters came into effect June 2020. That's just last year. Isn't it too soon, you know, to be asking for a review upward?
Like I said, the basic thing why is the communique that was issued out by the meter asset provider requesting for a price increase, where that people think that they are not actually, when you look at that communique critically, what they are saying is that the prices of meter is dependent on the forest availability. But the good news for Nigerians is because CBN has actually promised that under phase 1, if CBN did what it is they promised, there will not be any reason for any increase in price.
Okay, so with the promise of the CBN, are you withdrawing your request for review of price?
No, MAP did never ask for review of price.
You requested for review for the phase 0.
No, phase 0 is ending already.
Okay.
Phase 0 is going to end by the end of this June.
Okay.
In fact, they have said that this phase 0 is ending at the end of this month.
Okay.
So the next phase we are moving into is phase 1,
yes,
which is going to provide about 1.5 million meters.
Which CBN has promised to help with forex.
Yes.
So consumers shouldn't be afraid that there's going to be a change in the price of meters.
Yes, yes, that's what I'm saying.
So what we should focus on now is the functionality of MAPS.
What we should focus on now is how we can develop our local capacity. Because what happened, because if CBN, if they provided everything they promised under phase 1, especially in the area of forest, and then the local manufacturers in Nigeria, as of today, have the capacity. It's not about, the problem we're having now is not about capacity. It's about being able to bring in the raw materials that has not yet been produced in Nigeria.
Okay, so I'm just curious. You are a meter manufacturer also.
Yes.
According to MAPS, you're supposed to source for local 30% of your local in-house, I mean local in Nigeria.
Yes.
You're a manufacturer.
Yes.
Can you meet up with that 30%? And even that 30%, how much of that is really being produced in Nigeria and not just being copulated in Nigeria?
Okay. The truth of the whole issue is that when you say production, there's nothing that cannot be. Meter has different parts. The first stage of the metering is the design. When you do your meter design, based after the design, you can either to produce the board. Once you do the design to produce the board, by the time you produce every other part of the meter can be produced locally in Nigeria. But the issue here is that Nigerians just need to take advantage of the opportunity that is involved in the metering industry. When you look at the box, meter box, it's just a function of anybody that is into plastic before can produce a meter box. It's a function of the mold. So what we are encouraging people as a manufacturer is that we need people to play at the different chain of the meter.
What about the issue of quality, though?
The quality, there's a metering code in Nigeria today that everybody must follow. Like the major problem, look at the box I'm talking to you about. There's no reason on that why we should not be able to produce box in Nigeria, or even the material for box, 100%. Based on the metering code, what is being used is a polycarbonate. You're so surprised that, which is a byproduct of petroleum product. You'll be so funny that why can we not have that in Nigeria? Everybody depends on Saudi Arabia, Dubai, to be able to bring Morocco, South Africa, to be able to bring in those materials needed to produce the meter box.
So from your perspective, what's stopping us from producing it? We talk about byproducts of petroleum products, and I mean, we have crude, we are talking of petrol and all that. What's stopping us?
No, actually, what we're waiting for is for the Dangote to come up. I believe if the Dangote refinery comes up,
so a lot hinges on that refinery.
A lot, I mean.
Because as of today, there is no company in Nigeria that is giving us that byproduct. If we can have that byproduct, it will automatically increase because the bulky part of the meter is the box. So if you have to be bringing box, it will take a lot of space in the container. But if you are, as a manufacturer...
And we're still talking of Forex here.
Yes,
Forex, yeah.
That's the major problem. So the issue is that, and people should show interest in this industry. You know, metering industry is a very huge industry that needs a lot of people to take part in it and be able to solve the problem.
When you say people should show interest, are you asking for people who are seeking employment? Are you asking for investors? Because I do know that there are some Nigerians who actually have funds and are looking for, I mean, good businesses to put. So are you saying those people do not have the attention of the metering industry, or is it the youth who are supposed to work?
Like the box I'm talking to you about, let's just concentrate on the box, for instance. The first thing in the box is for you to have a mold. The mold, like this is a particular box. Then who designed the mold? You have designers, engineers that can design. You'll be so surprised that most of the molds that are being used today are still being brought from abroad. But if people, do you have capacity to do it? Yes, we have it. We have people that can design the mold. By the time you design the mold for your box, you know I can take that mold to any plastic industry in Nigeria to produce the meter box. Look at the volume of meter boxes that is needed in the next it's over 10 million meter boxes that will be required. So, but it's so easy, Nigerians will be shouting, no meter, but there are opportunities that people can take advantage of.
Who should kickstart this opportunity?
Exactly, because it seems there must be some, barrier to entry.
If there's a need, and I mean, people are asking for meters, because without meters, you can't get electricity. Without electricity, economic activities, accumulators. So who should start this process?
No, actually, we as a meter association, we're actually working with the engineering professions to be able to let them see the opportunities in this area, that we can see engineers that can start developing modes, especially showing interest in all these things. And when you look at some of these materials we are really talking about, it's all about chemical engineering. That we really need, there's no raw materials for production of meter that is not available in this country. But we need to really look at the advantage, that not look at this as because most of the people that are coming into the industry, they are looking about it as what they can, like sales, what we can, whereas it's a very huge industry. that we can use to grow our GDP, to provide jobs, to get youth out of the street. Even in the, this is what, to be honest with you, the federal government through the CBN has really done a lot under this NMMP, because they provide the resources for the discos to be based on the meter that we said we have on the ground. And there has been a top meeting now. By the time we go into the phase one, it's going to help and improve on the industry.
Okay, let's say, there's this upward, review actually happens. Can we expect, some kind of drop later on in the price of meters?
Like I said, if CBN, under the plan of the present government, if the CBN stand to their word and provided the forest and the guarantee required by the local manufacturers, there will not be any need for an upward review. Okay. Because the only thing is just for the chips and other things that because they are all denominated in dollars. Why people are aggravating for is because if you are thinking of bringing a fully built meter and you are thinking of, that is why when you even look at the second phase, that is the huge part of it, of $4 million. The program has been designed in such a way that the World Bank is going to provide funding for the second phase, but it's designed in such a way that it's going to be favorable to local manufacturer, because they give local manufacturer an advantage over the prices that people are bringing from outside. So the most important thing is for us for CBN to follow through on what they have promised, and for the banks, the major area that I think we might have problem in this whole process is the commercial banks. Because when you look at those processes, CBN is not going to give you money if the commercial bank does not give you the backup. Yeah. I, as a local manufacturer now, and the only advantage you can have to reduce your cost is when you buy in volume. If I went to a bank that I need 5 billion, the first thing the bank will ask me is to go and bring a guarantee of about 10 billion. Wow. Yes. And at the end of the day, if you want to drop the price, it's a function of the volume. And that's what the Chinese governments are doing. They are supporting their local local production through guaranteeing a lot of things. But what we have decided as an association to do is that we are going to work together. So if I need an 100 metric ton of an item, if MOMAs need 200, if Bojek needs 300, IRL, other companies, they all need. So when we all aggregate this quantity together, we will approach the producers of this material. We'll be able to get a good price, as long as CBN is ready to support us, because the commercial banks are into business, and they run power projects like other type of other business. One of the major problems we're having as a manufacturer, commercial banks in Nigeria need to understand the power sector, and they need to increase capacity in the area of people that does the risk assessment. Because if I went to them now, they will treat you as if you are a normal commercial customer. So those are the areas that manufacturers, meter asset providers are having problems to even assess even a good intention of the government. Because if the CBN provides this money, if the commercial bank does not give you the guarantee, you don't have access to it.
So what can the CBN do? Because, I mean, manufacturers have said something like this before. There's been a fund created for them, the health sector. Yeah. But accessing those funds become a challenge because of bureaucracy, because of commercial banks. I mean, commercial banks, like you said, they're also in business. Yes. Everybody's asking for special treatment, but they're also in business. Yes. So we have to also remember that. What can the CBN put in place to ensure that this fund is created, the meter manufacturers can access it easily, so that the end product is gained?
The CBN need to force the commercial bank to develop capacity in the areas that they are providing funds for. Because somebody, a head of risk in the commercial bank, that doesn't understand even the program of the metering process and what the CBN is doing, and you let him to decide the fate of a manufacturer, what you will be looking at is a normal conventional banking risk. But in the situation that CBN has provided $105 million, this is the money. What the commercial bank should focus on is an end-to-end on how to protect this money, not really about guarantees. They should know that, because these things the materials are going to be brought in through LCs and from here. And the end user for this product is the disco. So what the commercial bank should focus mainly on is the end-to-end on how to protect this money, not be asking the manufacturer for all those bureaucracy.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you so
Yes.
much, Engineer
That should
Ademola
help.
Aguru, for joining us
Thank you.
this morning and sharing your thoughts. And we hope to get more meters. I don't know.
Oh,
I don't
yes.
know how the process.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, I can assure you, like I said, the manufacturers are about the capacity to provide the meter that
All
Nigeria
right.
needed.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, that's it on this discussion with how to close the metering gap in Nigeria with Engineer Ademola Aguru, MD/CEO of Protege Global Services. We'll take a short break now. When we come back, we have another line of conversation for you. Stay on. It's Business Morning. You're welcome back. You're still watching Business Morning on Channels Television. Well, oil prices hit and then recoiled from highs last seen in October 2018 as investors eye the outcome of this week's OPEC Plus as the United States and Iran wrangle over the revival of a nuclear deal, delaying a surge in Iranian oil exports. Brent crude for August had slipped 16 cents to 76 cents to 76 $2 a barrel in early trade, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude for August was at $73.93 a barrel. That was down 12 cents. Oil prices rose for a fifth week last week as the fuel demand rebounded on strong economic growth and increased travel during summer in the Northern Hemisphere, while global crude supplies stayed snug as OPEC and their allies maintain production costs. Well, how does this concern Nigeria? The Group Managing Director of Rain Oil Limited, Mr. Gabriel Ogbeche, joins us now to speak about that and other related issues. Good morning, Mr. Ogbeche. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
Good to have you too. Well, Nigeria's oil export received from oil revenue, which slumped by 98% from March to April, is set for a rebound as OPEC has forecast demand to exceed 99 million barrels per day in the fourth quarter of 2021. This increase in price, now $76 plus, is a blessing to Nigeria?
Well, I would say it's a double-edged sword. Typically for a country that gets more than 90% of our foreign exchange earnings from the sale of crude oil, anytime we see the price of crude oil go this high, the country actually should be rejoicing. But on the flip side, unfortunately for a country that imports 100% of our petrol or gasoline needs, it becomes a cost on the other side, because when the price of crude oil goes up, it means that the cost of importing petrol into the country also goes up. And again, for a country that runs a fixed price for gasoline, where we sell petrol for 165 naira per liter, it means that that extra cost of importing the petrol, unfortunately, is borne by government. So when the price of crude oil goes up, the cost of subsidizing this petrol also go up, which is why today we see that the country is actually bleeding.
All right, sir, but how do you see, the price of oil going in the near future? Some have predicted $100 per barrel. What do you think?
Well, the immediate prediction is that crude oil should easily hit $80 a barrel. I'm not very optimistic about crude oil hitting $100 per barrel because of the interplay between the price of crude oil and the production of shale oil. We know too well that shale oil, which is largely produced in the US, the cost of producing it is very high. So once the price of crude oil hits $50, once the price of crude oil is below $50, then it doesn't make economic sense for those who produce shale oil. But once it goes above $50, then the production of shale oil quickly ramps up. So once you begin to see $80 a barrel, the interplay in the production of shale oil will now begin to put kind of a downward pressure on the price of crude oil. I don't share the optimism of anybody thinking that crude oil is going to hit $100 a barrel anytime soon.
Yeah, and with this increase in prices, landing costs also for petrol hit 232 naira, implying that the landing cost of PMS imported into the country has surged by more than 60% between December and mid-June this year. This brings, of course, the issue of subsidy, which you mentioned earlier, which is now placed at about 5.58 billion naira. For someone in your line of business, when you hear subsidy, talking of removing subsidy, and of course the outcry that goes with it because of the possibility of an increase in petrol price at the pump, what does it mean to you as a marketer?
Well, for us, it doesn't exactly augur well for the industry. It doesn't augur well for the country. I recall about this time last year when the price of crude oil, at the heat of the COVID-19 lockdown, when the price of crude oil came as low as $15 a barrel, subsidy naturally disappeared, so much so that government brought down the price of petrol from 145 naira per liter to 125 naira per liter, and actually came out to say that subsidy was gone for good, because ideally, I don't think it's right for us to be subsidizing petrol. But between then and now, we saw the price of crude oil recover very gradually, and government now increased the price of petrol from 125 naira to 142 naira to 162 naira to 165, which we see today. But again, the price of crude oil kept increasing. That today, crude oil is trading for $76 per barrel. And then the cost of bringing in petrol into the country today is about 256 naira per liter. So ideally today, I can argue that government is subsidizing every single liter of petrol by as much as 90 naira per liter. For a country whose consumption, today we are seeing consumption, daily consumption of about 80 million liters per day. So it means that today, government is practically subsidizing petrol alone for as much as close to 8 billion naira every day. So we are looking at an expenditure of 240 billion naira every month just to subsidize one product called petrol. I don't think it's sustainable. I don't think we should continue in this direction, and I think that it doesn't augur well for the industry. It's not good for investment, and I also think that it doesn't augur well for the country from an economic point of view.
Okay, but how do we convince the people? Because each time the issue of removing subsidy comes up, it doesn't go down well with Nigerians. And for good reasons also, because the promise of subsidizing other parts of life hasn't really come through in the past. So people do not really trust the government when they say that they want to remove the subsidy and use the money for some other things. So how do we convince the people that there's really the need to remove this subsidy for a better future in the country?
Well, I think it's a matter of engagement. I need to see a more robust engagement in terms of trying to argue the fact that subsidy should not be there in the first place, or that subsidy should be removed. Unfortunately, from an industry point of view, I am not seeing that engagement. It is what it is. There is subsidy in the price of petroleum products. Everybody who drives into a fuel station, just imagine that when you drive into a fuel station to buy fuel and you buy 50 liters of fuel, as you're parting with 8,000 naira to the pump attendant, just imagine that government is standing beside you and also parting with 5,000 naira to that same pump attendant to actually make the full cost of the petrol you have just bought. Now, just imagine that government has 240 billion naira every month to spend. Now, the argument will be, what is the best way to spend that money? Do we spend that money just to subsidize one product called petrol? Or do we spend that money on other sectors of the economy, like education, for example, like health, like infrastructure, like railway? There are so many other areas of the economy where government can deploy that humongous amount of money rather than channeling it to subsidizing one product. And I will give you an example. I mean, you look at education, for example. The public schools have practically collapsed, so much so that even the people at the lower rung of the economic ladder, everybody wants to send their children to private schools. And then look at how much people are paying just to send their children to private primary schools or private secondary schools. People pay as much as ₦1 million per term or ₦1 million per annum, sending their children to private secondary schools. Now, just imagine that government channels this kind of money to fixing our public schools, so much so that no matter where you are on the economic ladder, you feel comfortable enough to send your children to public primary schools, public secondary schools. So instead of we thinking that we are saving money on petrol, we can actually save money on education and spend the money on petrol. I mean, if you look at the country as a whole, infrastructure has practically collapsed. I mean, I stay in Lagos and I ask myself, why can't we have a high-speed railway line from Lagos to Abuja, for example? Why can't we have a high-speed railway line from Lagos to Enugu, for example? Why can't we have a shuttle going from Lagos to Abuja and a high-speed train leaving every hour? How much does it cost? If you look at how much we spend on subsidizing petrol alone, if we aggregate that money in 1 year, I'm sure it will give us a high-speed train line from Lagos to Abuja. Right. So, I mean, you look at the seaports, the entire country is relying on Tinkan Port or an Apapa Port, and these are ports that were built more than 40 years ago. Why can't we build additional seaports? I mean, when I look at the coastline in Nigeria, we have the Atlantic Ocean going from, the Atlantic Ocean goes from Lagos through Ogun to Ondo, to Edo, to Delta, to Bayelsa Rivers, Akwa Ibom to Cross River. More than 400 nautical miles of coastline. Here, the entire country is relying on the seaports in Lagos with all the congestion and so there's so much other areas where we can deploy this kind of money rather than using subsidized.
Okay. So the NNPC has said that petrol, smuggling persists, and the NNPC also talked about, volume of consumption pegged at 102 million liters consumed in May, but in reality, it should be about 60 million. How worried should we be about smuggling?
Of course, everybody is worried about it, but again, it's understandable. When you look at Nigeria in the middle, just look at Nigeria in the middle, the price of petrol in Nigeria is, say, 165 naira per liter. But when you look at Benin Republic to the west of Nigeria, the price of petrol in Benin Republic is 377 naira per liter. If you go further west, in Togo, the price of petrol is 377 naira per liter. In Chad, to the north, is 387 naira per liter. In Ghana, further west, is 446 naira per liter. If you go to Cameroon, to the east, it's 470 naira per liter. So the point is that all the countries that surround Nigeria, the price of petrol in each of those countries is more than twice the price of petrol in Nigeria. So there is so much incentive for leakage, which is why today, very unfortunately, Nigeria fuel not only feeds Nigeria, but it also leaks, I dare say, into the neighboring countries around Nigeria. And this is all because of the huge price disparity between Nigeria and the neighboring countries. I don't believe that that's the right and proper thing.
So you think
the federal government of Nigeria...
So you think that if this price is being, if it's covered, this gap between the two prices, if it's covered, then it will make smuggling not so attractive?
Oh, definitely. We've seen it before. In 2016, if I recall correctly, the first time we saw the price of crude oil collapse, when the price of crude oil collapsed and subsidy naturally disappeared and we achieved what I call the import parity. So in other words, the cost of bringing in petrol kind of matched the pump price and there was no subsidy. We also saw that the national consumption went down to as low as 40 million liters per day. Today, we are consuming about 80 million liters per day. I don't think that Nigerian fuel consumption should be more than 50 million liters per day. And I think that at least 30 million liters of Nigeria fuel leaks out of this country on a daily basis, trying to feed the neighboring
countries. All right, we have to stop it there, Mr. Ubeche. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Mr. Ubeche, Gabriel Ubeche is the GMD of Rain Oil Limited, and he shared his thoughts with us on happenings in his industry. Do enjoy the rest of your day, Mr. Ubeche.
Thank you very much.
So we do an open call to the market, and Will Ibong is here. Will, last week, the total volume of transaction carried out in the investors and experts window of the Forex market rose by over 25%. Tell us the details.
Good morning, Nini. Yes, it was a good run for the Forex markets as sports, forwards and futures in the week ended June 25 had a total turnover of about $808.02 million. This figure represents a 38.39% increase from the total reported in the previous week. This week-on-week increase was due mainly to the 25.47% increase in the spot volume, as we see here. In particular, at the investors and exporters window, total value of transactions carried out last week increased by over 25% to stand at 613.78 million naira. And from $489.19 million traded in the previous week. Meanwhile, at the NAFEX window, the naira fell against the dollar by 52 kobo to 410 naira, 85 kobo to a dollar, as against the previous week, where the naira traded at 410 naira, 33 kobo to a dollar. This represents a 0.12% drop. However, in the parallel market, the naira gained against the dollar by 0.45% at 494 naira to a dollar, compared to 496 naira 25 kobo recorded in the previous week. But to talk more about the markets, we have Constance Onya, a fixed income dealer at Access Bank. Good morning, Constance.
Good morning.
Constance, we noticed of the turnover volume was quite huge in the Forex market, although there was a drop in the NAFEX window. What would you attribute to this? What would you say is driving this?
Okay, so the demand has been persistent in the I and E window, and we know that CBN has also been trying to intervene to see if it could clear backlogs and for the FPIs and the marketers, the investors and the investors and exporters window pattern. So we've seen that this demand has been in the industry for a while and has been trying to be cleared out by the CBN. So it's just the demand basically driving the huge demand that we see.
Although we also see that the foreign reserve has hit its lowest, and what do you think is going to help to boost this?
Okay, so we'll probably think that the CBN will encourage the FPIs to probably bring in more inflows into the country. That's the only way that we could probably see the foreign reserve be boosted again. We expect that the CBN will probably just handle it in their best way as they continue to talk to the foreign investors to bring in dollar inflows into the country.
Thank you very much, Constance. That was Constance Onya, the fixed income dealer at Access Bank. Now let's check out the equities market, where it has been quite choppy. The local bulls ended the week at 2.56% drop. It was staring into the jaws of the bear market, and the depreciation dropped the market cap to 19.627 trillion naira. While when compared to the previous week, we see the market cap of listed equities lose over 500 billion naira. That is quite huge. This was largely driven by sell-offs in Airtel, Dangote Cement, Boa Cement, and MTN shares. The activity levels were mostly positive, as a total turnover of about 1 billion shares worth 10.33 billion naira were transacted on all in 17,165 deals. On the other hand, sectorial performance was mostly negative as well, as the banking, oil and gas, consumer indexes recorded gains. Only insurance and industrial goods indexes were down. Well, that is all we have for you today.
Yeah, thank you so much, Will. Well, in the equities, which Anita would always say is his favorite, last week wasn't a very good one, but we hope this week will be better.
We're hoping we'll see a good one this week.
Yeah.
We're hoping for a good one.
All right, thank you so much, Will. Well, we'll take a short break now. When we come back, we'll do an opening call to London. Do stay with us. You're welcome back. You're still watching Business Morning on Channels Television. We head over to London now, where Juliana is standing by. Good morning, Juliana. I hope you had a great weekend.
I did, thank you, and a good morning to you.
Yeah, so it's a new week, the last one in the month of June. What's the outlook for the week?
Yeah, we've got a busy data-driven week this week. I suppose the big one is going to be on Friday, which is the US labour market data. It's been a little bit lacklustre over the past couple of months, so we'll have to wait and see whether or not it exceeds forecasts on Friday. Here in the UK, nationwide tomorrow, they're going to be delivering their year-on-year house price figures. 2 months, 3 months in a row, we've been seeing pretty big surges. So it'd be interesting to see just how far in advance it is tomorrow. I think the markets are forecasting about a 10.9% year-on-year increase. And then we're going to have the Bank of England mortgage approvals. Even though we are seeing house prices rising, mortgage approval pretty much stalled last month. So it'll be interesting to see that. And then we'll be getting the final PMI data. We got a flash PMI figure of the composite index last week, pretty strong. So it'll be interesting to see just if the second quarter is on these record high targets as the Bank of England have predicted. So yes, busy data week this week, Innie.
Yeah, well, I trust you to be on top of it all. The Federation of Small Business is asking for more financial support package. Does it seem like they'll get it?
Well, possibly no, but you never know. The government, especially led by a populist leader, do like to appease the public. So perhaps we will see a turnaround from the Treasury, but I don't expect so. The government have been pretty clear that furlough is going to be winding down until the end of September. It's protected about 11.5 billion jobs, and it's cost the taxpayer nearly £50 billion. They don't seem to be extending on that. But even though most of us are out and about doing our own thing, including, of course, the Health Secretary, former Health Secretary Matt Hancock, some businesses are not, including the nighttime sector that, of course, has been closed for over 15 months now. They were hoping that they'd be open on the 19th of June. That's been pushed back until the 21st of July at the very least. And the Federation of Small Businesses are asking for more help. Yes, furlough is going to continue, but VAT deferral payments are going to be in soon, as well as lots of VAT refunds. So there are concerns. The Federation are asking the government for more support, but it seems as if they're sticking to the furlough line right now.
And the Financial Conduct Authority have ruled that Binance cannot conduct any regulated activity in the UK. What led to this, and how are the Gen Z reacting to this?
Yes, big story. This is dominating, obviously, business news across the world. The Financial Conduct Authority, the financial regulator here in the UK earlier this year did ask for all cryptocurrency-related exchanges and any kind of products to make sure they are regulated. According to reports, Binance did make sure that they had all that regulation paperwork, although they weren't putting it to good use. So now the FCA this morning have banned Binance, massive blow. But for cryptocurrency traders and insiders, this is seen as a good thing, because if there is more of a crackdown, more regulation, it does appear to mean that the cryptocurrency market is maturing. And that's why Bitcoin and others are trading much higher today. But of course, this does have much more wider implications for the market. And Britain aren't the only one. I believe the Japanese government did something similar last week. I know Germany and America are also looking at cracking down much harder. I believe now Binance have up until Wednesday to make it known to all of their investors that they are no longer going to be legally trading in the UK. Yeah, massive story.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Juliana. I know Ladi has more to tell us on that. Do enjoy the rest of your day. Oh, do remember by 1:30, Business Incorporated will be here, and of course, you'll be right back. So, Ladi, it's a leading story for you.
Yeah. The crackdown
How are your guys
continues.
reacting to this?
Well, if you can imagine now, it's been FUD all through for crypto ever since Bitcoin hit that 65K. So you know, the Ford is expected, and more crackdowns. I expect more crackdowns, you know, on the market. But how it's trading today, it's actually up, surprisingly, because on a Monday, you usually have, with that kind of news, you know, you'd see, you know, a massive drop. But we have Bitcoin at 8 a.m. traded at 35,189. And for the fear greed index, we have 24 points. It's still extreme fear in the market. Market cap, $1.33 trillion, up by 1.22%. 24-hour volume traded in the total crypto market is up 18%. And Bitcoin dominance continues to inch up there at 48.62%. You see volume traded in Bitcoin this morning, $33.13 billion. And let's bring in Olumide Additional now. Hello, Olumide.
Hello, Ladi. Happy Monday.
Great to have you. Good morning. Well, you know, we've had the FCA in the UK is cracking down on Binance's operations there. How is this going to affect the market, and what does this ban really mean?
Okay, yeah. On the regulatory side, that looks not too good for Binance. On the fact that you know, the FCA and the Japanese financial authorities also have been trying to crack down on a lot of crypto trading firms that they feel have so much exposure to unregulated assets. And it all started with Canada. It moved to Japan, and now we are seeing United Kingdom. But the good thing is that Binance doesn't really have so much exposure in that market. So we're seeing that it's not weighing down as much as people have anticipated. It's more like a symbolic move because one of Binance's biggest market remains the Asia and the other emerging markets like Nigeria. So, but I think what really triggering Bitcoin right now is the fact that today is almost steady. A lot of people are expecting bullish sentiments. I know the affluence Elon Musk command, and the fact that after Grayscale unlocked so many coins, we saw coins dropping, Ethereum dropping as low as 1,750, but it rebounded strongly, and that triggers theory that there are a lot of staple coins. I'm talking of USDT Circle assets on the crypto exchange, and that's why we see a lot of buying pressure, triggering Ethereum to bounce back above 2,000. So on the regulatory angle, yeah, we're expecting more of this. So it doesn't shock market pundits because they've already signaled the fact that these assets pose systemic risk, and they would want to calm down, being one of the biggest in the world. So it's not really something that will shake the market up. But the thing market pundits will be looking at is what impact would they on other assets, because if you look at what the US Fed official said, for the first time he mentioned Twitter posing systemic risk to it because he compared Twitter to credit markets, and that's to tell you that he said Twitter has a kind of strong hold on the cryptoverse, and that is true because if you look at most people use Twitter for to buy these crypto assets. So some critics are saying that Twitter is not properly backed by the dollar, meaning that some of their backings are just word of mouth, but they also are not helping matters because the last audit shows that less than 30%, independent audit shows that less than 30% of these Twitter assets are backed by the US dollar. So that's what we are looking at. And finally, if you look at the going close to the end of the month, the Bitcoin monthly candle will be forming. So anything around below 33,000 will not be good for Bitcoin because that will tell you that Bitcoin for the first time closing below that level. Above 34, 35 might look like a bullish sign. So the momentum keeps moving despite the fact that we have regulatory concerns.
All right, Olumide, thank you so much. Always great to have you. Thank you. All right, so anyway, we have top odds for market cap, BNB, Binance Coin, trading up 3% this morning. Cardano is up 3%. Dogecoin up 5%. And you know it's Elon Musk's birthday today, so we might expect some kind of rally. Who knows?
Yes, it might just unfortunately we can't access our tweets back here.
Yeah.
But we'll certainly get the information once he makes a tweet and then he's removed the market one way or the
Exactly.
other. Well, wish him a happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. Well, that's it on the program for this morning. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget, 1:30, we have updated stories from the business world, and that'll be on Business Incorporated. So do join us then. For now, it's goodbye. I'm Ini John Mekwa.
And I'm Ladi Williams. Thank you for watching.